Thank you for coming to Starbright Storytime. This is the overview of books for week 32. To start off with, we have Fred and Ted Go Camping by Peter Eastman. This is a fun book about two dogs, Fred and Ted, who decide to go camping. And this shows us the differences, many differences. Fred took many things, Ted took few things. One is tall, one is short, one is fast, one is slower, so on and so forth. And it sort of just goes through their experience camping on the lake. And they seem to have a good time. They make it through in the end. Fred and Ted Go Camping by Peter Eastman. The next book on the list is Just Go to Bed by Mercer Mayer. Another tale of little critter. He envisions himself as many different things. A cowboy, a general, so on and so forth. He's engaged with his imagination and Dad keeps trying to get him to go to bed. He sort of has to fall into character in order to capture the little critter. Get him all ready for bed. This is a fun little bedtime story. Just Go to Bed by Mercer Mayer. Next on the list is Caillou, One or Many. This is a lift the flap book. It's more fun in person. It's more fun for your little ones when they have it in their hands and they can lift the flaps. Very simple little storybook for your early readers. Caillou, One or Many. And this book actually text by Fabien Savary and illustrations by Tipéo. The next book on the list is Timothy Tiger's Terrible Toothache. This is a little golden book. And this book is by Wahl, illustrated by McCue Karsten. This is a wonderful little storybook, beautiful illustrations, in my opinion, about poor Timothy the tiger who has a toothache and how he tries to manage it on his own, ends up at the dentist's office, and he's able to survive and come home from the dentist's office feeling pretty good. So again, this is Timothy Tiger's Terrible Toothache by Wahl, illustrated by McCue Karsten. The next one on the list is Just Going to the Dentist by Mercer Mayer. So I just figured, why not have two books on the same theme in 1 week? Just Going to the Dentist by Mercer Mayer is another book about a trip to the dentist. In this case, little critter is just going for a checkup, but he does happen to find that he has a cavity which gets filled. He finds that the dentist's office is kind of like a spaceship. Well, that's fun. And the work that is done in his mouth really doesn't hurt. Just makes him tired. Just Going to the Dentist by Mercer Mayer. Following that, we had two books in one. We have The Foolish Tortoise by Richard Buckley, illustrated by Carle. The story of the tortoise who wants to have more speed. So he removes his shell, which is actually impossible for turtles to do, but it's an imagination. So this turtle removes his shell and finds that he's vulnerable to all of these other animals, and he's really not moving any faster. So he's happy to go home and return to his shell. Richard Buckley, Carle with The Foolish Tortoise. And then on the other side, we have The Greedy Python by Richard Buckley and Carle. And this is another story about a python who eats every animal in sight. Everything. He's so hungry, he could eat an elephant. And he does. He swallows 10 animals in all and there's so much food in his stomach, so many animals that he gets sick, and he has to spit them all up. And then what happens? Now he's even more hungry. He sees his own tail and ends up swallowing himself right up. This is The Greedy Python by Richard Buckley and Eric Carle. So we had this wonderful book, The Greedy Python by Richard Buckley and Eric Carle, and The Foolish Tortoise by Richard Buckley and Eric Carle. 2 books in one. We had Just Going to the Dentist by Mercer. We had Timothy Tiger's Terrible Toothache by Jan Wahl, illustrated by Lisa McCue Karsten. We had Caillou, One or Many by Fabien Savary with illustrations by Tipéo. We had Just Go to Bed by Mercer. And then the one that we started the week out, we had Fred and Ted Go Camping by Peter Eastman. So this was a fun week. Hoping to next week go through some books about the natural world, books about nature, maybe some books about trees. That is my goal. That is what I'm aiming to do. We'll see how successful I am getting those books out for the week ahead. But anyhow, these are the books for week 32. Thank you for coming to Starbright Storytime.